Here we go again. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel and to another Tea Time Tangents with Amy. Get your hot beverage ready because I've got some tea to spill today. As you've probably worked out from the title of this video, I have made the decision not to return to Vietnam. And I just wanted to sit down with you today and really talk through that decision and what the heck I'm gonna do with my life now. And I'm really hoping that talking it all through will give me a greater sense of clarity as well as fill you in on the details, because this is a very recent decision. It has not been an easy decision to make, and to be completely honest, my head is still spinning a little bit. So for those of you who are new or maybe just missed it, I moved to Hanoi at the very beginning of August. The plan was to take up a teaching position there, and I was thinking of staying there for, in my mind, at least 2 years, but I was really open to staying for longer than that if I really liked it. Because here's the thing, I'm 31 years old, these frown lines don't lie, and the last few years have been tumultuous to say the least. Again, for a little bit of background, up until 2020, I was living in Bahrain and I had an absolute ball. I loved it there. I was living with my then best friend. I met the man of my dreams and we got engaged. Everything seemed like my own personal Disney fairy tale. I was just so happy there. I loved my life there. And then it all fell apart in a really dramatic way. It's a really long story. I actually wrote an entire book about it. Sneaky plug. Anyway, all that to say, when I decided to make this move to Hanoi, I really wanted it to work out. I was really looking to settle down, put down some roots, and create a new life for myself that would have a sense of stability. I really wanted it to work out, I really did, but it didn't. Right after I first moved there, I made this video, and it was honestly completely all over the place. Like, I was really struggling, and I think that is very obvious to see and hear when you watch the video. So yeah, it was very clear to me from early on that this whole new start, new life that I had hoped for myself wasn't working out. And looking back, and probably for a lot of people on the outside looking in, it was quite naive to think that I could just pack up, flit off to an entirely new country and just set up a new life for myself and things would go effortlessly and seamlessly. But I felt that way because that had been my experience in the past. Like when I moved to Bahrain, everything just snapped into place so easily, and I guess that had given me a false sense of security about what this move to Hanoi would look like. Okay, so what was the problem? Why didn't it work out? Honestly, it was a combination of lots of different things. I'm not going to go into each and every one of them. I kind of feel like even if you'd taken some of them away, it still wouldn't have been the right fit for me, but it kind of just felt like every aspect of my life there wasn't quite right, and no matter which way I tried to move things around or see things from a different perspective, it was never going to be right for me. If you've been following me on TikTok or over on Patreon, then you know the horrendous struggle that I was having with the construction work outside my apartment building. Like really shortly after me moving into this apartment, construction started about 15 feet away from my bedroom window, and it lasted 24 hours a day. Like, that's not an exaggeration. It was a 24-hour construction site. I do want to make it clear though that the construction was not the reason I left, because obviously I could have just moved to a different apartment building. I could have just packed up my stuff and moved to somewhere that hopefully would have been quieter. But I'm just trying to say that that added to my overall mental deterioration over the last few months. The bigger issue, which I think is really why I decided to ultimately leave, is because I just felt completely misaligned. And that sounds so vague, and I don't kind of know any other way to describe it. I just felt like I was almost living someone else's life. Like I was wearing someone else's shoes. It just didn't fit right. Most of you know that back in 2021, I was in a really low point in my life. and I started this thing called the This Time Next Year Challenge, where I really worked on living more intentionally, on learning to rebuild a relationship with myself, on building my confidence, on building my happiness, and creating a life that I just felt very content with and felt more fulfilled and happier. And I did that. That worked. And I think that I expected that even after I moved, that my life would still continue along this upward trajectory, or maybe things would slow down a little bit, but that I would still overall feel good, that things would be positive. And that just wasn't the case. I really felt like a fish out of water. And yes, it is totally normal when you first move, you start a new job, you're meeting new people, you're in a new space, it's an entirely new culture. It is completely normal to feel that way at first. It is completely normal to feel that way even for a few months. But this feeling was so deep inside of me, it kind of felt like this isn't me just settling into something new. This is just that this life is just not meant for me, and I kind of knew that in myself. I can't describe it. I can't describe how I knew. I just know I knew. And it made no sense, honestly, because on paper, everything was right about this opportunity and this experience. Like, I was meeting interesting people, I was making great friends, I was getting to travel and visit the most incredible places, which is something that I feel very passionately about. And right before I left, I got offered this teaching contract for a salary that was... no one's ever offered me that much money before. Let's just say that. So when I was trying to look at things from an objective standpoint, it was absolutely the right place to be. There was no reason why I should have wanted to leave, but I did. Something in my body was screaming that it wasn't right. Why? I don't know, but over the last few years, I think I've gotten a lot better at tuning in to what feels good and what doesn't feel good, and having the courage to kind of disregard what makes sense and is logical, and to just go with my gut feeling instead, because my gut feeling has never been wrong. It's taken me down some windy paths, and sometimes I think, where are we going with this? Where is this leading us to? But eventually it always does lead me in the right direction. And I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do. It's not. It's very difficult to go with your gut when it flies in the face of everything that is reasonable and makes sense. Like walking away from a job that's offering a lot of money, walking away from this new life that you're trying to build for yourself, coming home again and feeling like I have failed at creating a life for myself again. Those were not easy things to do. It's difficult to make those kinds of decisions, and it's scary, but ultimately I know it's the right thing to do. I need to live my most authentic life. Oh my gosh, that's so freaking cheesy. I need to live my most authentic life, and that wasn't it. That wasn't the right life for me. But it's still scary. So what now? What the heck am I doing with my life? Good question. Right now I need to dedicate a little bit of time to rebuilding myself. And as I say that, that makes it sound quite dramatic. But I do feel like I lost a lot of small parts of myself over the last few months. And whether that's because I was trying to squeeze myself into a life that just didn't fit me, I don't know. Maybe it was because of the stress of the last few months have really had an impact on my mental health, and that, as many of you will know and have experienced, can really play on your sense of self. I don't really know what the reason is, but I do know that I don't feel like my best self right now, and my number one priority has to be rebuilding myself, rebuilding my confidence in myself, and re-establishing that state that I was in before I moved, where I just felt very happy and fulfilled. And I'm gonna throw myself back into content creation because it is something that makes me very happy, and I have missed it. I'm gonna get back into YouTube. I'm gonna continue on TikTok. I'm gonna keep going with, I launched this program before Christmas called the This Time Next Year Jumpstart Program. It's a 3-month online course to help people, give them like a little bit of a jump start for people who want to change their lives. So I'm gonna keep supporting my students through that, hopefully get a few more people signed up. And who knows, maybe we'll start to see some traction with those things. So that is where I stand right now. It's been a weird week, okay? This has been quite emotionally heavy, but ultimately, no matter how sad I am to leave, scared I am to leave, worried I am to leave, I know that it's the right thing to do. Thank you so much for sticking with me till the end of this video and for sticking with me through my absence. If you haven't already, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button to follow me along on this next chapter. I have no idea where it's going. Until next time, remember that you are enough just as you are. I love you so much, and I will see you soon. Bye. Oh.